Colin Cowherd's herd hierarchy after week 1. Now, we do these every single week. If you're new to the channel, usually they come out on Tuesday. This week was a little bit later. It is what it is. So the way this works is I put out my top 10, and I do it ahead of time. I do it early in the week, and then we react with my top 10 compared to Colin's. So let's take a look at my top 10 first. Now, this top 10 takes into account where I have these teams preseason ranked and some of the performance from week 1. Okay, so just because a team wins in week 1 doesn't mean they're in the top 10. Just because a team loses in week 1 doesn't mean they're out of the top 10. So that's how we do it. We'll break it down quickly, and then we'll go to Collins and we'll break it down a little further. So San Francisco, I think, is clearly the best team in the NFL after week 1. Absolutely dominant performance. Tough situation, in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, I would say, is a above average to average team, and they absolutely decimated them. The biggest question with San Francisco is the same that it is every year. How good is Brock Purdy? How good is the quarterback position? He looked pretty damn good. Now, everything went about as good as you could ask for, so it's hard for me to give you a negative. It really is. So they're number 1 until they show me a negative. Now, number 2, I have Miami. I'm kind of torn between Miami and Dallas, and the reason I went with Miami is because I thought Dallas got up to such a big start, or such a big lead early with the blocked field goal and the pick 6, and Daniel Jones was so bad that they just kind of steamrolled the rest of the game. When you're spotted multiple defensive touchdowns, I think I saw it was the first time, maybe ever, that a team has scored 2 defensive touchdowns in the first half of week 1 or something like that. So what they were doing was unprecedented. Okay. So I hesitate with Dallas because if you're immediately up 14-0 because your defense and you're playing Daniel Jones and he's forced to try and catch up and he makes even more mistakes, things can pile on. I've said this with Dallas last year. I said it this year. For Dallas to be a legitimate threat, their defense has to be generationally good, and Sunday night they were. The Lions, incredibly impressive win at Kansas City. It was a depleted Kansas City, and if you look at the deeper statistics, Kansas City had a better chance to win in the second half, but they got the job done. Loved what I saw from Detroit, so we'll put them at 4. Jacksonville, kind of a weird game with Indy. Indy could have made it a lot closer at the end. Would have been more than likely a 3-point game. If Richardson doesn't get taken out, the ball was on the 2-yard line. So weird game. Indianapolis had a couple 4th downs that they didn't convert. Jacksonville wasn't as dominant as I think the score looked. They have Kansas City this week, so we finna find out. Philadelphia, terrible. Philadelphia was awful. They probably would have been my second preseason ranked team, so I've dropped them quite a bit. They were bad. I mean, bottom line, this was offensively, the deep analytics have this as the worst offensive game they have had in the last 2 years. And you got to wonder, is it offensive coordinator related? They lost both coordinators. We got a lot of question marks about that. Jalen Hurts was not good at all. New England held him in check. I need to see it. I got to see it. We're getting to that point with Jalen Hurts where if you look at before the season or before last season, people expected him to be below average. He has an incredibly good season, so now all of a sudden he's MVP level. So what's the real Jalen Hurts? Is Jalen Hurts the MVP we saw last year, or is he who people expected him to be preseason last year, or is he somewhere in the middle? We don't know, but bad performance overall from Philadelphia. I'm going to need to see a little bit more from them. Baltimore, same thing. Terrible performance with a win. Lamar Jackson was awful. The offense was terrible. Same exact deal. New offensive coordinator, Todd Monken. Going to have to see it. Baltimore's going to have to prove it to me. They have a tough game this week against Cincinnati with a lot of injuries. One of these 2 teams will not be on the list. Baltimore or Cincy. One of them will not be in the top 10 next week since they play each other and they're both ranked low. Kansas City, I had them 1 coming into the season. They lose. I dropped them mostly because of the wide receiver room. Chris Jones got his stuff figured out, but the wide receiver room is still concerning. I don't think I can have them that high if Kadarius Toney is going to keep throwing games. Cincinnati, really bad, awful performance. They would have been my third team, I think. They had a awful loss. Joe Burrow is not right. Bottom line, he's hurt. Something's going on. I'll give you a couple facts here. They took 2 snaps under center the entire game in a rainy, bad condition divisional game. That tells me they were not comfortable with Joe Burrow taking dropbacks. So how can I have Cincinnati? I almost had them out of the top 10. How can I have Cincinnati highly rated if Joe Burrow can't drop back? It was bad. It was awful. And he missed preseason again. They have a tough game coming up with Baltimore. They're favorites, 3.5-point favorites as of right now because of the Baltimore injuries. So we'll see what happens. Green Bay, great performance against a bad Chicago team. Green Bay's defense is legitimate. If Jordan Love keeps playing like he played in week 1, I mean, this is a really good team. This is a team with a great defense, with all of a sudden an above-average quarterback. If he keeps playing like that, this could be a sneaky team in the NFC. So that's my top 10. Let's go ahead and listen to Colin.
Hierarchy, top 10 teams in the NFL. Here we go.
Herd hierarchy.
Time is now. Let's go.
The top 10 NFL teams according to Colin. Number 10.
I gotta be honest here. The Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love.
I'm a whole different level. I mean, unbelievable, unreal. I mean, what else can I say, ladies and gentlemen? Go in the comments below. I mean, you know what to say. I will say this though. Usually, me and Colin are pretty close. Last year we did this every week. You can go back and watch them for last year. You can see that. I'm generally right there with a lot of the major markets top 10. I'm quicker, I think, to drop teams that are flavor of the month, and I'm hesitant to drop teams with like a really deep, talented roster. So it takes a lot for me to drop like San Francisco. It's not going to take me a lot to drop Green Bay. You know what I'm saying? So, but hey, great job, Colin. Fantastic with number 10.
Led all quarterbacks with 123 passer rating, and he was perfect on 3rd and 4th down. Situationally, they were fantastic. They have the youngest roster in the NFL, average age 25. So they're going to make mistakes and be imperfect. They're really young at receiver and tight end. But I will say, they were the 2nd highest scoring team.
Quick note on the Bears. I don't put a lot of stock into the highest scoring team or whatever because the Bears are so bad at passing. When they go behind, like they were in this game, they're cooked. They have no chance. If they have to throw their way into a game, absolutely no chance at all. So Green Bay was always going to get a ton of points because of the position the Bears were in. So I don't put a ton of stock in them being the 2nd highest scoring team.
Thought they looked organized. I thought it felt like Matt LaFleur's team more than Aaron's, and I like what I saw. Green Bay at 10.
Yeah.
Number 9.
The Chargers. I think they're coach.
No way. No way. No way you can have this team up here. I hate to say it, guys, but I think the Chargers just who they are. This is just who they are. They're just a high-scoring offense who loses games, this is just who they are. Like, they're a fun team, but they have no home field advantage. Brandon Staley is a defensive mastermind who somehow loses shootouts nonstop. Justin Herbert has a cannon, but somehow his average depth of target for his passes is super low. So he's not doing what we think he's doing. They're a run-first team. They're a weird team. I'm selling all my Charger stock, which is not good because I have a ton of Chargers in fantasy.
Coach is over his head. They're 0-2 in their last 2 games despite 0 giveaways and 7 takeaways. That is an alarming sign. Their defense is 29th ranked scoring defense and 27th total in the Brandon Staley era.
Again, he's a defensive guy. Like don't forget that. Brandon Staley isn't this, just because he goes for it on 4th down, he isn't a offensive guy. He is a defensive genius.
And they spend more money than anybody on defense.
Yeah.
They may have the wrong coach. My guess is today they do. But I love their O-line. Yeah. I love their run game. I love their quarterback. And I like their personnel. They could have won that game, Chargers 9.
Number 8.
Jacksonville. Didn't play particularly well.
Okay, yeah. I think where did I have Jacksonville? What did I have them? 6? 5. So this is about right, and he's alluding to that they didn't play well, and they didn't. Jacksonville starts slow, and I say Jacksonville. Peterson coach teams tend to start slow. Jacksonville started slow last year. I think they were 2-3 games under 500, and then they went on a run, and that's what we saw at the end of the year. So this is kind of expected for them, but I would say they played poorly, but bad spot. Divisional game, Chiefs on deck, first game out of the gate, unknown quarterback you're facing. There was a lot there, and sometimes good teams do have to go win ugly games, and that's what Jacksonville did.
Well, but Trevor Lawrence throwing the ball downfield, this is what he does, 9 for 13 and 150 passer rating. So with Calvin Ridley, they're going to go over the top a lot. Calvin Ridley had 8 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown. And so, Calvin Ridley changes this offense. This is a beat-you-over-the-top offense if they have to. They've got plenty of guys underneath, like what I saw Jags at 8.
Number 7.
Baltimore. But what was my concern about?
Yeah, same thing I was saying, and we kind of have these flipped, I guess. But I don't know. Baltimore, all these teams, it's hard in week 1 because all these teams basically are facing the same problem. One, the quarterbacks do not play in the preseason. So the quarterbacks are rusty. The quarterbacks are not in sync. They don't look good. Or there's heavy turnover at the coordinator position. So it's a brand new defense or a brand new offense. In some situations, you have both. Baltimore has both, right? So will this offense work? I don't know. Will Lamar Jackson look better in the offense? I don't know. But we have to assume, and Baltimore's dealing with a ton of injuries. So it's hard to grade that it's really kind of hard to grade that first week performance. You have to kind of take some of them with a grain of salt. I have a lot of faith in Baltimore as far as the scheme and Lamar Jackson. Their injuries do currently scare me, but it was an underwhelming performance to say the least, even though they won by 20 points.
Baltimore before the season started. Why did I have them missing the playoffs? Because most of their good players have an injury history. What do you know? J.K. Dobbins out for the
Is this like out of sync? Is the video somehow now, is Colin in like a old Godzilla movie? What's going on here?
history. What do you know? J.K. Dobbins out for the year. Ronnie Staley hurt. By the way, now Tyler Linderbaum, an excellent young.
It's kind of funny, the Odell Beckham thing. So on Sunday Night Football, I think it was, or maybe Monday night, but it shows how much the media loves Odell. They were talking about Odell. It was a Sunday night game because the Giants were playing, and they were like, whoever it was said, yeah, Odell Beckham, he great receiver. He made the catch in New York, whatever. He's in Baltimore today. He drew 2 pass interference calls. He drew 2 defensive pass interference calls, and he made a great block on a play. And that was the guy trying to like hype up Odell as still a relevant player, and he has not been relevant really since that catch. It just shows like when the media is behind a player, anytime a wide receiver is getting a shout out for their drawing pass interference calls and blocking, not good.
Center is banged up. Zay Flowers did, though, have an exceptional game. OBJ, Lamar Jackson, I think they may be the fastest team in the league. I love watching them play. They're going to win a lot of games, but my concern is their injury history, and the injury bug is already struck.
Number 6.
Detroit Lions, 9-2 over their last 11 games. It's a good football team.
Detroit's legit. Like, what I noticed in that Kansas City game was that they have people everywhere. They're pretty good in every facet of the game. Especially the most important part, the offensive and defensive line. Their defensive line is going to come after the quarterback. They're going to rush the passer. Aiden Hutchinson was a monster in Kansas City. Offensively, their offensive line can dominate. They can run the football, monsters up front. When you have that as like a great core, and then on top of that, you have a star wide receiver, and you have a quarterback playing well. And you have a 2-headed monster at running back with Jahmyr Gibbs, who we don't even know what his ceiling is yet. I'm here to tell you Detroit is legitimate. They are a legitimate team. They got linebackers. They're deep everywhere. They're young, I think, in the secondary, but this isn't just a feel-good story anymore. This is a team with a legit deep roster who plays hard, understands who they are. Detroit is good.
With a great offensive line. Jared Goff, 359 straight passes without a pick. That's the third longest in league history. They held Mahomes to 54% completion percentage. They've got a real pass rush.
No, Kadarius Toney held Patrick Mahomes to a 54% completion percentage.
Detroit's for real. I have them at 6.
Number 5.
But Kansas City may have lost, but Travis Kelce was.
So I dropped them. Did I drop them lower than Colin? Yeah, I had them 8. So Kelce is coming back, sure. And Chris Jones did sign a 1-year deal. I'm not sure why he held out for a 1-year deal, but he held out for the tag basically. But I don't know. After seeing, and maybe I'm just blown away by how bad the wide receivers were in that first game, but I don't care how good Patrick Mahomes is. I don't care how good Travis Kelce is. They are playing with practice squad wide receivers. And maybe those wide receivers just had a bad game all at the same time, whatever. That ain't going to work. You cannot have the most prolific passing quarterback, maybe ever, in a pass-happy offense, in a pass-happy league, and have wide receivers who cannot catch, who cannot make plays. It cannot just be Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes dragging this team to 11, 12, 13 wins in a Super Bowl. It's not going to happen. But James, the receivers last year weren't good. Juju Smith-Schuster looks like Jerry Rice combined with Randy Moss compared to what I saw from Kansas City in week 1. Maybe they'll get it fixed. Maybe that was just the worst possible game from all the receivers at the same time. I don't know. But I cannot, in good faith, put them any higher than I have them until I see something different. And if they go and roll Jacksonville in 4 days or whenever their game is, sure, then we'll start to trend them up. But it would not shock me at all if the same thing happens and Kansas City has some legit problems offensively because of those wide receivers.
Was a huge factor. Listen, here's the good news for Kansas City. Mahomes with Kelce, they'll be great, and their defense is young and spectacularly fast. This could be the best defense in the Mahomes era. But I do worry that if you can take out Kelce, I don't trust Toney.
Oh, Colin, what happened? Colin, look at the eye. Who's out there with a spitball? Damn. Look at this. Look at Colin get sniped.
If you can take out Kelce,
Pow.
I don't trust Toney. They're really young and unproven at wide receiver.
Fought right through it.
Really young. I think the defense, you got to feel great about it. I still think they're better than the Lions with Kelce and Chris Jones.
What is going on?
Number 4.
Philadelphia didn't blow me away in
Okay. I think I had them at 4, right? No, I had them at 6. All right, so we're right there. I agree. Philly is Philly. I have some serious questions about Philly offensively, and they got some injuries too. Kenneth Gainwell but the offensive coordinator / defensive coordinator absences, they now have to show us that that's not a big deal. And Philly has to be, they're one of those teams that's so system-based that they have to be running at all cylinders or it looks bad because they're running a specific system. So if that specific system is not working, the whole offense is falling apart. And that's what I think we saw in week 1.
Week 1, but Jalen Hurts is 18-1 in his last 19 starts, but they were outscored 20-9 in the final 3 quarters, and I think losing Shane Steichen changes their offense. Look at,
they were outgained too. Like if you look at that box score, I think they were outgained by like 150 yards.
Josh Allen without Brian Dable.
Yeah, it
20
matters.
turnovers, 20 giveaways.
Yeah.
He's not the same guy. His mechanics now aren't good. He's still not
Coordinators
sliding.
matter.
Jalen Hurts is not going to put up last year's numbers, but they're very, very good. It's a very, very good football team. I have them at 4.
Number 3.
I got to go Dallas. I saw.
Okay, so he's going to do the same thing I did. So I was me and Colin. So he's going to go Dallas, Miami, San Francisco. Dallas all day today. I was thinking, man. Because I put my power rankings out Tuesday. And I knew they were already out. So I didn't want to switch Dallas and Miami. but I was thinking, did I make a mistake? Should Dallas be 2? I'm okay holding them at 3 for the reasons that I gave on my list. I'm surprised to see Colin did. I thought Colin, I know Colin's the big Mike McDaniel guy, so that might be why he has Miami at 2. But I'm interested to see what he says here. I figured he would have had Dallas at 1 or 2.
What I saw, 40-0. The bottom line here is they're 11-1 in their last 12 games against the Giants. So this was a little bit the big cool kid in the playground beating up on the small defenseless kid. They just have a major matchup advantage over the Giants. But they had 7 sacks and 3 takeaways. And they led the NFL in each of the last 2 years in takeaways. Brandon Cooks, CeeDee Lamb, and Tony Pollard are home run guys potentially. Their O-line, I thought, was better than I suspected. Listen, last 2 years, they lead the league in taking the ball away. This is what they are now. It's not a fluke. It's not a statistical aberration.
So you'll hear me say this a lot, and I think Colin is kind of poking a hole in this. I always say turnovers are random, and it's hard to say this team is going to force turnovers all the time because turnovers, it's just a random situation. It's hard to hang your hat on that. It's much easier to hang your hat on this team is going to have a ton of pressure on the quarterback or this team is going to stop the run. Those are the kind of things you want to look for in a good defense. And I think Dallas has those. But again, Dallas will have to be generational, the best defense in the NFL. They will have to be a high-level, top-level defense if this team is going to be good. I don't think Dak is that good anymore. I don't think Dallas is, offensively they have weapons, sure. But this is a big-time defense-first team. If the defense starts blocking field goals and returning interceptions for touchdowns and helping that offense out, yeah, they're going to win a lot of games. But like Colin said, it's hard to take this 40-0 against the Giants, who are as bad as you could possibly be, and do too much with it.
They take the ball from your offense. They'll do it against the Jets probably this weekend.
Number 2.
Miami, 500-plus total yards on the road.
So here's why I like Miami, and here's why I put them at 2. Miami's legit. Miami is Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins, Tua, Tyreek Hill. They're doing the same thing they did the exact same way that they were doing last year. And don't forget, McDaniel as a head coach is so good that he almost had Skylar Thompson win a playoff game. Okay? If they hold up, Miami is going to do this all year long. Now, here's an asterisk. I would not be surprised if they lose this week in New England. That is a hellacious travel spot. To go to LA for your first game, turn right back around, and then go across the country to New England. Very, very, very difficult travel spot. Horrible spot for the Dolphins. Coming off of a high emotion game, high roller coaster game, coming off of a emotional win, while New England's coming off of a tough loss. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if Miami lost. But I love this team. I love the Tyreek Hill Tua connection. Jalen Waddle might be the best second receiver on a team in the NFL. And Mike McDaniel, he is a coach who knows what he's going to do. The team obviously trusts him. He does it well. And, I mean, this offense it's the best offense in the NFL. The best offense in an offensive league, I got to rank him high.
And by the way, big plays. Tua led the NFL despite not having a big arm, 10.4 yards per attempt. This offense was spectacular.
Yeah.
Spectacular. And they did it without their left tackle. It's only going to get better. I worry about this team down the stretch, but on week 1 of herd hierarchy, they blew me away. Now,
I'd be interested if you told all of like the experts, and I mean like the gambling experts, not like Adam Schefter. If you told them Tua will be healthy all year long, I wonder how many of them would have Miami winning the Super Bowl. Because all I ever hear is I like Miami, but Tua's injury, blah 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 blah, or Tua's going to get hurt, or whatever. If you knew Tua was going to stay healthy, I'm interested to know how many would have them winning it all. Something to think about.
not just winning, just the fashion, the creativity, the multiple sets, playing from behind, blew me away.
Number 1.
San Francisco.
Yeah.
Can we be honest?
No doubt about it.
Brock Purdy's pretty good. He's not great.
Purdy, all right. I said a lot of anti-Purdy stuff this offseason, and I was concerned physically if he could do it. You know, I thought when he was asked to play quarterback, and I didn't like how he looked physically. I didn't like how he moved around in the pocket. He tried to escape from the back a lot instead of moving up. A lot of his throws seemed kind of weak, kind of You know, a lot of floaters, just didn't have it. He made a lot of throws this weekend that I was like, oh, whoa, hey, what's going on here? Looked like an NFL quarterback. Looked like a guy that can go win a game on his own. I'm not totally sold yet, but I was very impressed with Brock Purdy specifically this weekend. They absolutely dominated Pittsburgh. It is much like the Giants situation. The Cowboys situation. But I will say, 1 week in, Brock Purdy looks like he is proving me wrong.
Nobody's saying top 10, but the kid's more athletic than I gave him credit for. He led him in 6 scoring drives. Christian McCaffrey was a monster.
Yeah,
Christian McCaffrey's insane. I don't even know what the comp is. He could be a wide receiver in the league. He's a running back. Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, the best left tackle in football. And Brock Purdy is not just capable and coachable like I said. He's better than that.
Me and Colin both kind of eating some crow here. Yeah, the team is nuts. The team is crazy. The team is stacked. I'm going to be a sad bunny if they win the Super Bowl this year because I had that Super Bowl ticket on them last year. If I was a year too early, it's going to hurt.
Whatever it is, Iowa State football's not the same without him. Hi, everybody. Thanks.
I don't know about Iowa State football, but the Niners are damn good. Ladies and gentlemen, that is week 1 of the Power Rankings. Go down in the comments below. What are your top 10 teams after week 1? Where did I get it right? Where did I get it wrong? Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.